Hello, beautiful people. Today is I'm going to talk about my healing journey to hopefully inspire you and to help you on your healing journey to get out of chronic pain, chronic this disease in the body that I had, for example, like fibromyalgia and rheumatoid arthritis. So I had many different symptoms and many different over the course of my life. It started from a fall with a horse that I had in when I was about 15 years old, and I had lower back pain and lots of various different pains throughout the years after that. It was coming on and off. It was going away and then coming back again. And as I grew older, as my days went by, it was getting worse and worse. I had various, I went to see all the doctors, the chiropractors, naturopaths, homeopaths, osteopaths, acupuncturists, acupressurists, Reiki, blah blah blah, as everyone might be not go down this journey to find healing. They're open to everything, basically. So I was open to everything, and I even made some serious life decision changes because of my pain, like moving to warmer climates and warmer temperatures, hoping that was going to help. So I moved to Crete in 2001, which was a life-changing and beautiful. I'm still here, but it's what I'm saying is the pain actually caused me to make massive life changes and life decisions. I continued to have flare-ups throughout the years. I went to do an MRI because in desperation to find out what was going on, and what was the diagnosis was, bone spurs, degeneration, scoliosis. After these MRIs, I now had a very clear picture in my mind what problems were, and actually this created my symptoms to get much worse. And I'll talk more about that next time and why. So then I was restricted in all ways. I was couldn't do activities that I loved. It was my whole world, like my pain and the discomfort that I felt in my body was just, was making the decisions for me, which was tragic. It is tragic, and I really resonate and hear everybody who has that feeling right now. So everything was restricted, my enjoyment of life. I was grumpy, I was frustrated, I was tantruming emotionally with outbursts that I couldn't understand. And then I even had another fall, which created. Then I had another fall and fractured my tailbone, which then for about 8 years I was unable to actually sit properly. I couldn't sit without severe pain in my tailbone. I couldn't go on long journeys. I couldn't travel. Bus journeys and car journeys were the worst, because you sitting back, or I couldn't find a position to sit in that was comfortable. I had special cushions, I had special pillows for my my neck. I took them with me. My whole life was taken up by this by chronic pain. And I felt like it was going to be forever. I couldn't think of even believe that it was going to be possible to be pain-free again. I felt my body was broken, and I absolutely hated it for it. So all of these things that people come to me with, my clients come to me with, and they say I can relate to, because I have had it, and it's been a momentous journey to overcome that. But incredibly rewarding, which I'll get into in a minute. So the flare-ups continued during my PhD, and and my research and development. I had suddenly, normally it was in the core. The pain had been initially in in the neck and the shoulders and the core, lower back, mid back, you name it, tailbone. So it was literally up and down my spine. But then during my PhD, I had sudden new symptoms, and I was devastatingly pain, had lots of devastating and debilitating pain in my hands and my fingers and my arms. And at the time I was doing very, very intricate and very, very difficult experiments. I was an immunologist. I was doing lots of what's called adoptive transfers, which is basically taking the cells, staining them, the cells of mice, and staining them, and then injecting them in through a tail vein to other mice to understand certain aspects of the mice that we had. Anyway, I won't go into the details, but anyway, the point is that I was doing very intricate and very detailed and all my fingers and my hands and my arms were just in so much pain. It was just excruciating. And these experiments sometimes were very long hours. And eventually I went to the rheumatoid doctors, and colleagues of mine actually that I trusted, because until then I hadn't really been to doctors except for chiropractors and naturopaths and osteopaths and things like that. So it was the first time that I was in desperation, and I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia and possible rheumatoid arthritis as well, that developing in my arms and hands and fingers and my joints. And so it was, a devastating kind of diagnosis, and it was rather debilitating, as I just said. So I actually made a life decision again after finishing my PhD and finishing my postdoc. I decided to leave research and development and the clinic to actually try and become more, I understood the concept of stress and the stress on the immune system, as I was an immunologist, and holistic in mind and spirit. And so I was very aware of that, and I thought, okay, let's leave science. It's not resonating with me, the health model anyway. Just creating magic bullets to pills and treatments. And so it was rather than looking at the whole, so it was a life-changing move, but it was also very much because of the pain. Let's try and see if I can have a nice calm life. I will be pain-free. So you'll see where I'm going with this, but basically, so I became a self-sufficient farmer. My partner at the time was a resilient farmer, a natural farmer in the the south of Crete. And we had a child together, but I thought that this would be a beautiful opportunity for me to be a natural farmer, live on the land, live off the land, opt out, be self-sufficient and resilient in that lifestyle. And for a while, actually, it was much better. I had a lot less pain. I had a lot less symptoms, but they kind of came and went, but I didn't have a massive flare-up until I became pregnant with my daughter. And that actually the hormones and the emotions and the stress of all that, becoming a mom and changing my career, becoming a resilient farmer, actually stimulated a lot of stress. And I had constant pain again. It erupted massively. I had all the symptoms that I had had been bubbling, or let's say just in the background, but then they all bubbled up and burst out and flared up, and I couldn't even, my daughter was 2 at the time, and I couldn't even pick her up because she was in so much pain, and I couldn't bend over. I had a stabbing pain, stabbing knife pain in the lower back, which was just debilitating. And I couldn't, you know, be a good mother, and I couldn't be a good farmer, and certainly not plant lines and lines of onions and whatever else we had to plant that day. So I had this chronic dissatisfaction. I had this chronic not enoughness. I couldn't, you know, my emotions I had these outbursts of emotions that I just couldn't deal with. So I felt, you know, I was just not functioning. I was physically broken. I had mental problems. I was depressed. I was anxious. I was in fear all the time. And emotional, like I said, I had these outbursts that I was terrified of. So all of these things became so unbearable. And the worst, the other part was that we were financially broke as well. So I was broken and broke, and it was just, you know, I remember the day serendipity came about knocking on my door, and I found Dr. John Sarno's book in my recently subscribed audiobook library. This was 2019. And so the book is called Divided Mind. The Divided Mind. Dr. John Sarno, if you don't know him, is the grandfather of mind-body syndrome and mind-body awareness, and he, you know, was he was a doctor in New York, I think he was from. He's unfortunately died now, but he realized that the mind-body connection with this world epidemic of mind-body syndrome, and he, you know, wrote some books, The Healing Back Pain, which I also have read, amazing. Highly recommend. I have a PDF, so you can, you know, reach out to me if you want it to read it. It's a small little book. It will really help you. And the Divided Mind just basically talks about the concept of the mind body and how the psyche and how these symptoms are expressed, because they're actually trying to protect us, but they're, you know, wanting to be seen, heard, and felt. And so our body is always communicating to us, as I was saying yesterday, that it's not our enemy, and the symptoms are not your pain symptoms, or the symptoms that I had were not my enemy. And it was like a realization, I mean, I was reading the book, and everything on the page, all the pages resonated with me. I was like, oh my God, you know, I've been wrongly diagnosed all these years. And I have TMS, or attention myositis syndrome, or mind-body syndrome, or the other word for it is psychosomatic disorders. So I resonated with this. I started the very next day. I realized that my mental, emotional, and physical, mental, and emotional habits had created my reality up to this point, and that I found, you know, even though I was very aware, I wasn't, you know, taking care of my body. I wasn't emotionally aware. I wasn't, you know, eating the right foods to support the nutrients, you know, the nutrients, to give my body the nutrients it needs in order to build the blocks, you know, all the rest of it. And I was very depressed and very mentally in a negative spiraling, you know, place. So what did I do? The point is, here I took responsibility. I realized that there's nobody going to come and there's not going to be save me. There's no pill that's going to save me. There's no doctor that's going to save me. There's no operation that's going to save me. I am the one that has to step up and take care of, and has the power to take care of myself. And this was liberating. As I said yesterday, it was totally liberating and totally terrifying at the same time. But the very next day, even though I was in full body pain, my whole body hurt. The walk was just, you know, excruciating, but the sit was excruciating as well. So I was like, what the do I do? So I started a habit of movement, and I realized if I changed my habits, I would change my life. And this is key, that our habits are the way we can start to create simple change in our lives, by changing a habit daily, you know, a month. Well, I have a system, I'll tell you about that in a minute. But the point is that I started the very next day the habit of movement. Movement is medicine. We know that. Doctors, try and usually tell us to not do too much movement, but that's in acute cases. In chronic cases, movement is medicine, and it really should be incorporated into your life daily. And I'm not talking about one yoga class or 2 yoga classes a week. I'm talking about daily movement as a priority for your body. We are so stagnated in our body, with our lifestyle in general. But so it's vital. It's flow of energy. It is so vital. I can't, and a daily and even hourly getting up and moving around when you're after sitting down for a while. So what I did was I started a very, very simple movement habit. Every single day I woke up before my daughter was, she was a toddler, so she was waking up. I woke up before, of course she was waking up, but I woke up before her. So before 7, around about 6:30, I was waking up. I was going for a walk, 10-15 minute walk, excruciating pain the first 5 days, 6 days, 7 days. And as I was walking, I focused on the areas of the body that were not in pain. So I focused, as we know, hopefully, or I will be going into, the mind is very, very powerful. And when we can focus on the parts of our body that are not in pain, rather than focusing on the pain, what we focus on expands. So if we focus on the parts of the body that are not in pain, then you can actually start to move with, and there weren't many places in my body that were not in pain. So I was focusing on my little toe or my, one of my fingers that was not sore, and, walking at the time so that I could actually really create a momentum, and breathing in and feeling all the emotions and giving messages of safety to my body, which are all kind of key concepts of Dr. Sarno's work, which I'll be going into over these series of videos. Hoping that people will get inspired and realize that this is their time to take responsibility of their own health, and start building what I call building. I have a system of change. It's a very simple and effective system of change, which I'll share with you. It's basically habit building for painless living. It's called habit building for painless living. Success in any area of our life always has to do with habits. So habit building for painless living, start physical, mental, and emotional habits. So holistic habits, building them up to empower you as time goes by. And I have this system, like I said, which is basically that you track your habits. You build a page, you write a page of in and out habits that you want. So habits that you want to put into your life. I don't know, whatever those habits may be. So movement habits, physical habits, such as the amount of water you drink, increasing the amount of water, increasing the number of colorful foods that you put into your life. Those are all physical. Mental, maybe, saying affirmations, giving sense of, being aware of your emotional state. Those are emotional habits. There are, I can give you a whole list of beautiful habits that you can put in and out. The point is that you start with one. So the habit is comes into your life. You put the habit into your life, and then you no longer have to think about it. After 30 days, I have a whole video about it, actually, a whole webinar about how you habit building for healing. So please go and watch that. It talks about accountability, support. It talks about the system of change, the simple system of change that I have, rather than spending time on the video now to do it. But please try and take responsibility for your health. It is now and the time that we really need to do this. And there is a way, it is possible for you. I had all those symptoms. I had 18 plus symptoms and diseases in my body, such as fibromyalgia and RA, and I'm now pain free, and I'm, I feel vibrant in my health. I feel vibrant in, I've learned how to to deal with my emotions, or I'll become aware, emotionally aware. I do tracking. I do emotional tracking now. I do, you know, all sorts of beautiful mini power habits, which have, you know, catapulted my life into a completely different realm. And I truly believe that the pain that I had and the symptoms catalyzed this is what I was talking about yesterday as well, or the day before, that these catalyzed my growth. And I, you know, this is why pain is, and your body is not your enemy. It's actually truly wanting to find, you know, connection and wholeness and holistic, you know, holistic holistic approach, or let's say what's the word, holistic ideas and concepts, so that we can actually feel whole, connected, love, you know, coming from a love-centric place. And all of the pain and all the discomfort was actually was a path and a road to getting me there, which when you're on it, I know can be incredibly scary and disheartening and overwhelming and all the other things, and terribly a lot of fear. So that's why I'm here. I support people with chronic pain and to naturally heal, and through the integration of these mind-body concepts and the holistic habits that heal, I help people to get their freedom and start doing the activities that they love, and end just coping, but actually coming into thriving. So please, reach out to me if you need help or if you want help. I'm here, I'm available. Find another coach if you don't resonate with this. But it's truly our time to take on the messages from our body, and to transform it into and transcend it. So embrace and integrate into our lives our true greatest self. So with that, I'll leave you, love you and leave you. And I hope that was helpful. I hope many of my clients have asked me to do a video about my transformation or my healing journey. So there it is. And I will see you again all tomorrow. Bye for now.